a very big, formal, lovely welcome to everyone who is joining us today and ready to share some interesting information with you. Our main focus is around the prompting, so that will be our main focus today, but we will definitely be also having a look at various things that are happening around in the field. And thank you for everyone typing into chat. Wow, we're really getting quite some useful ideas and input already from the chat. So as we move through the session, please keep your eye on that. I'm Dr. Denise Meyerson from MCI. I'm addicted to generative AI. So please forgive me if I get a little too carried away or excited. Please keep typing into chat, ask questions. We'll be very pleased to assist you with anything that we can. So just before we get started, to say that MCI acknowledges that the lands and waters of the country we meet on today have been in the care of traditional custodians for thousands of years. We pay respect to the elders of local people, past and present, and to emerging leaders. MCI acknowledges and extends respect to people from all the cultures and diverse identities who walk on this country. So a very big formal welcome to you. So I think without question, you can all agree with the slide that I have up there, that this whole artificial world is becoming a gigatrend. We used to talk in previous years about megatrends, but now I think the time has come for us to talk about gigatrends. So our focus today is around the prompting, and we'll certainly show you and try and put some of this into action as well. We also want to start exploring different possibilities as well, such as custom GPTs. And we want to look into the world and very quickly into the world of the agents. And then we've got some final hot tips for you as well. So please, some of you are at all different levels of experience here, but please type into chat and we'll be very happy to have your input, and I can see we've got some very experienced ones as well, which is fantastic. So you can help us go through the session too. But I think that we have to acknowledge just how fast moving this field is. Even as I'm sitting here, things are changing. I have changed the slide deck. I can't tell you how many times. Thank you to Vanessa in marketing, who's been adapting and adjusting the slides, because every day something different is emerging. And, just 6 months ago, MCI ran a webinar about AI and just AI in L&D. And I put up these 3 images. And this is just 6 months ago. There was a huge debate about which one was real. Some said A, some said B, C. People couldn't agree on it. Now that I put up this particular slide, I think just about everybody here is going to say all 3 are AI generated. So and that's how fast things have changed. Another example of just the rapid nature of this field is on the 2nd of May, we had Visa announcing that they're going to integrate their platform into other platforms such as ChatGPT. So you'll be able to shop and pay right from within Chat or Copilot or wherever it is. So you won't even you'll be kind of bypassing the traditional search engines that you might have seen previously. Then ChatGPT says on the 5th of May, well, now we're going to have these online shopping tools as well. And they're going to be integrated right into your search, obviously in a way to monetize it and to ensure that you've got your e-commerce options right where you are searching. So that's happening. Then on the 9th of May, again, Google's rolling out another whole new version of AI. It's starting in the US, but I'm pretty sure even probably as I speak, it's probably here right now. And so this is what I'm trying to say and just how fast it is. I don't know if I've seen anyone in the chat say that they've tried out the new Gemini VO3. So anyone who's tried out any of the videos? I'll just show you a little bit of a snip of this, but this is just like quite amazing for anyone who wants to be experimenting a little bit with putting their AI into any course material or things that you're doing. And I'm just mentioning a few of them. I'm sure some of you in chat will be able to tell. I mean, in the chat of this, when I say chat, I always think of my AI new best friend. But there are so many tools being released constantly that if I just had to list the tools, we'd be here till this evening. You know, if you think of translation, other types of video generators, depending on the purpose. But we do also have to acknowledge that there is still a little bit of an ongoing debate. You know, on the one side, people are saying, is AI just, is this Gen AI just going to rot our brains? We're going to have cognitive atrophy. We won't be able to think for ourselves. You know, we're just going to be relying on those tools. Remember, like when the calculators first came out, and you weren't allowed to use those at school because, you know, you must make your brain think. So there is that side of the argument that I feel that we do have to acknowledge. And the other side of the argument is, hey, we're going to be more efficient. So much more is possible. Let's push the boundaries. Let's innovate. Let's just restructure the whole way in which we work. And there, Holly brings up a very good point around sustainability. And then there's going to be that further discussion about that as well. And thank you for raising that. But where I want to focus today, because I know we could then spend the rest of the day just having these big debates around different aspects of this Gen AI, but just to get practical, I'd like to focus today on the prompts. Because if we don't do decent prompts, and I don't say that all of them are perfect, but unless they are at least a little bit detailed, and at least if they are good enough, I feel that at least we're stepping forward. If we've made up our minds, this is what we want to use, this is how we're going to do things in the future, at least let's perfect our skill a little bit more in this area. And getting the AI to understand how we speak so we don't sound fake and inauthentic. We don't want that either. We want also the AI to start remembering who we are and what our tone of voice is, and also bearing in mind that AI is generative and that we've got to keep iterating, experimenting, trying it out again. And accepting that, yes, the human touch is not going away. You are still going to be required to do some of the editing as well. But I'm always reminded of the story, and some of you might have heard this before, so sorry if I'm telling it again, but garbage in is garbage out. And I've got a very dear friend who has a jewelry store, and one of the items that she sells is a tennis bracelet. If you can see that bracelet in the image there, it's a bracelet with all diamonds all around it. I think it was named after one of the tennis players, one of you might know, and every time she wore all her diamonds. So she said to the AI, write me an article for my website about a bracelet, about a tennis bracelet. What did she get? She got a bracelet sitting at a tennis court. Oh, she said, this is all useless. The AI didn't understand me. It didn't know what I wanted. And I didn't want a bracelet sitting at a tennis court. So we have to remember that it can't read our mind. It can't absolutely picture. Maybe one day it will. But at the moment, it certainly can't picture what exactly we want unless we give it instructions. For example, if we upload a file and we expect it to read the file, you have to be able to give as part of your prompt and of your instruction, please read the file, because otherwise it doesn't know why it's been uploaded. And my dear best friend, Chat or Copilot, you can't just give them, you know, kind of bullet points or funny little sentences that don't make sense. When you speak to the AI, it is very much in natural language and in a conversational tone, which now that I'm used to doing that, now when I search in Google or in one of the traditional search engines, I'm also typing that, which is maybe not as helpful in that mode of searching. But the way in which we would encourage you to think of any of, I'm saying chat, but it could be any of the other wonderful platforms that you have mentioned, is that it's a new co-worker, forgets a lot, ability is not always totally clear. It can be lazy. I don't know if some of you have experienced that. It's definitely improved, but it can be lazy. And people are telling me that particularly in holiday times, it gets even lazier. But sometimes you do have to be a little bit firm. I would say still to be polite, but you might have to be stern, might be the word. And yet, when people say, well, must I always be please and thank you and say, that was amazing work and respond in that way, Sam Altman from OpenAI says, don't say that. You're wasting all my computer power here. So don't use all those extra words. But the process ultimately that we like using has been developed by Professor Ethan Mollick. I don't know if some of you have heard of him. Give us a thumbs up if you've heard of him or if you are already following him. I'd say that, and there are others, but I would say that he is one of the main guys, particularly because he's not affiliated to any of the platforms. And so he gives his quite frank and honest opinion. He's also got a lot of researchers from the Wharton School who work with him. And so he's able to delegate some of the work to them. And he writes in a very clear and practical way. So I think he's quite someone that we continue to follow. So for him, in terms of the prompting, what he says is, in terms of step one, don't always go immediately for the perfect prompt. Because this is iterative, because the AI is learning from you, because it is experimenting, you can talk to it, you can engage in a dialogue with it. There's an example that I've given up on the screen, and in terms of what I need help with, and then the AI will answer, and then you'll answer. And so you'll have this a little bit of a to and fro conversation. You could even say at the end of the conversation, is there anything else you would like to know in order to draft me a proposal or write me an email or write out the outline of a learning program? So you can, in fact, also ask the AI in that way. What is an important step, and although some people say, well, the prompting is so haphazard, is there even a process to prompting? But I would say that one thing that I would encourage you to always include would be the avatar of the person or the people or the audience or the group that you are doing this work for. So you're asking the AI to be an author for a children's book. You're asking the AI to be a top world-class instructional designer for a group of people who work in a bank, whatever it is. But without that level of detail, I think you're shooting a little bit too much into the dark. The next step, according to Ethan Mollick, is to try and write, don't just dump a whole lot of information and hope that the chat or the Copilot or Perplexity can sort it out, or Claude. Try and put it into a chain of thought type of process. So you're saying, first do this, then do that. Thirdly, I want whatever else it is. Finally, I want something else. And I think that sort of breaking it down a bit might give you a better initial output, instead of this just very chaotic, like if you don't know what exactly you want, I'd rather admit that than put into the chat a sort of a jumble that doesn't seem to make sense. And then what Ethan Mollick says is that there's still a few more steps. So what is delivered might not be what you're thinking, what you're hoping for, and you might have to refine give further instructions, give the AI feedback. I mean, there have been times where I do get a little firm and say, hey, listen, what's going on here? You're just not giving me. What else do you need from my side so that I get a better output? With this ability now to make attachments, please use it. Give past examples, give things that maybe have been exactly what you do want, and then say to the chat, please have a look at the PowerPoint deck or at the document or the spreadsheet that I have attached. And you can obviously also point the AI to have a look at various websites. Then the human takes over, all right? I did say that we're not getting rid of us humans yet, but you do need to put in the input. It's no good getting frustrated with the chat. Lots of people have said to me, well, it didn't bring me what I wanted, so then it was more worthwhile to do it on my own, which is fine, and that might well be the case. But do accept that you do need to have some sort of an input there. It's your voice, it's your authenticity, your own credibility. But now as well, there are further steps. And without, and these steps might not be needed. And I'm not saying that all of this is compulsory or every single step has to be followed. But now that there is the ability in so many of these platforms to create images, to edit images, to transcribe images, give it a go. I don't know if anybody here is using Midjourney, but they've upped their game a lot. And some of their images are quite amazing. And then I showed you earlier the Gemini VO3. And so you can include animation. I mean, come on, L&D. Remember the days where you had to hire someone to do your video at the cost of it, or you got those funny little animator things that kind of, I don't know, I could never get the hang of how to use those. But without question, there is so much more. So I'm going to pause for a couple of moments and hand over to Ben just to demonstrate. This is your homework, by the way, because we're not in person here. And so your homework is to, in fact, try and get a few buddies together or a few colleagues and try formulate a few prompts and see how you go with that. And I'm going to hand over to Ben to see if he's done a pre-prepared prompt. I must say, and Ben, you can tell them that each time you've tried it, it's come out a little bit differently. And maybe also just say that you are using Copilot.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Denise. So I'll quickly share my screen if you're okay, just to stop sharing yours. So you should be able to see Copilot on my screen now. Now, the way that I like to approach prompt writing, and feel free to agree or disagree with me, is to almost treat it like a client meeting. Now, I know that I'm obviously in a sales role. When we talk to those clients, it's always important to ask the right questions in order to get the right result. I don't think anyone that's ever worked interdepartmentally or business to business has ever got a straight, perfect brief in one go. So I always like to just ask it at the end of the prompt. Please ask me any clarifying questions to generate the best response. So what we've got here is just a really quick prompt, essentially gearing it up and giving the AI a concept. So we're running a Copilot demo currently with the aim of showing the power of great prompts. You'd like to use Copilot to create an induction program for new staff, the APM Group, which is the company which owns MCI. Can you tell me the best prompt to use? Please ask me any clarifying questions. So then what it does is kick out some clarifying questions for us to answer. So what roles are the new staff fulfilling? I'll just put one and do all new hires. 2, scope, what was the induction cover? I'll say, please use all of your samples.
I love the speed of it. Us golden oldies is amazing.
I am using please a bit too much here.
It's fine.
But I do agree with the robot upload.
I think somebody says you wanted to learn good manners. Was a comment there in the chat. And also for those of you who see in the chat there, Robin makes a very good point. Don't put personal details and sensitive information that you wouldn't put into any of the search engines. Certainly don't do it here. So thank you for those comments as well. So let's see what Ben's telling it to do, and let's see if we can refine what comes out of in terms of the output. All right, Ben, press send and let's see what happens.
So I'm also just going to quickly upload a copy of our brand guidelines. There's other public ones, they're also out of date, so
it won't matter. Okay.
So we're going to upload that, and it'll also just generate that style guide and give me everything in the style of APM corporate.
Nice. Hopefully. Let's see. Okay. Let's see the power of it. Okay, there we go.
So what we're doing here is actually creating me the best prompts to get the best output. So here it's given me this prompt: create a comprehensive, friendly, face-to-face 2-week induction program, all new hires at the APM group. Should reflect the brand personality, and it's listed some of that there, and include what we've asked it to. Why this prompt works, and it gives you a little bit of an overview of the prompt, and we're just going to say that we're happy with this, so we'll just say run the prompt. Run the prompt.
All right, I'm excited. Let's see. It's always an element of surprise, I have to say. It's never going
especially with Copilot.
100% sure of exactly what is going to emerge. But I hope that everyone's getting a sense of how you kind of talking, how you going backwards and forwards with the AI, and that it might not be exactly what you want immediately. You can see it is taking a bit of time to have a read of the guidelines, to have a read of what's going on, but it seems as if its computing power is into full motion. And Ben, maybe right at the end we'll switch back to your screen and see what's emerged, just so that we can continue. All right. Some stuff's coming out. Wow. Okay, there we go.
So what you can do now as well, just really briefly with Copilot, is image generation. So just to give you an example of the power of uploading the brand guidelines, this was just one I was playing around with earlier. But I don't know if anyone's knows the APM brand, that blue and orange, and actually creating the slides and creating the imagery for those, I think, has come quite a long way even in the last month or so. So really interesting. But I'll hand back over to you, Delise.
Thank you. My gosh. And as I say, I mean, this has to go on, for a while. And that wouldn't be the end of everything. You would certainly have to keep refining, bringing the human element in, making sure that come on, present in Teams, present. Making sure that it's got a lot of your own, for goodness sake, it's taken me right back to where I am. There we go. So just a few hot tips as well, and I hope that was useful for everyone. But if possible, and I certainly understand that in some organizations this isn't possible, but where you can, try to move between platforms. There, Ben did the Copilot. I'd be very sneaky and go into my own ChatGPT on my personal laptop, but just there are differences, and each platform has a different level of speciality. I'm obviously not going to go through all of that. Some of you will see and notice some of the familiar names to you. There might be different platforms here that some of you haven't seen before, but it is certainly worthwhile experimenting depending on what you want. Even if you are on ChatGPT, and quite a few of you said that you are, there are different versions just of that, also depending on the type of output that you want. And we'll send you a copy of this slide deck just so that you've got some idea and some sense if there's other things you want to experiment with. And experimentation and iteration is going to be a key theme for me. In his latest newsletter, though, this is what Ethan Mollick said are his top 3. So I don't know. The jury's out. I think some of you typed in the different ones that you use, but that's what he's recommending. As he said, if there's anything you experiment with, choose one of those and see how you go. Another hot tip, which I think we have also mentioned previously, is keep it narrow. Otherwise you're back to the tennis bracelet. It's just too broad. AI doesn't know what you're talking about. So narrow it down, give the constraints, talk about Australian law for a compliance module. That is really helpful for the AI. And as I've said many times already, I hope, is please let it go for the creativity, go for the volume. You can always narrow it down later. Instead of asking just for 10 ideas, ask for 50. Who said that there's a limit on 10? Go for volume and then converge on the ones that you want to use. I think somewhere in the chat, somebody put us a reminder as well to say that be careful of the bias. If you ask for a business person doing something in the image generation, generally you're going to get a man. So just, be patient, persevere, start teaching it. Don't just accept everything that is dished up to you. We've said as well to keep the tone conversational, make it natural language, keep the prompting. You can become more conversational, or you can be a little bit more structured. And if you're going to go for the structured one, then follow the Ethan Mollick steps. If you're doing those more structured prompting, which might be needed, certainly for our L&D world. As Ben said, he tried the same prompt, and we certainly will give you the example of the prompts that he used. But sometimes you think, oh, I'm so happy I nailed it now. The whichever platform, chat understands me perfectly. And the next minute, it dishes up a whole lot of nonsense. So you've just got to keep going. It's, you've got to have the courage and the perseverance to keep moving with it. But where this is going to, what's the future? Where is this headed? What Ethan Mollick is telling us is we've got to try voice mode. He said voice mode is a game changer. I don't know if all of you have, and a lot of these, remember, are on paid versions, that he's saying to us, you can point the phone at something, at a sign, and it's going to translate it for you. It's going to help you fix a broken appliance. It can do so much. So he's really saying to us, please try out the voice. So I've tried it. I don't know if I've nailed it, but I'd be keen to hear from others whether you've had a go with that. The other area where I must say I'm starting to shine is having my own custom GPT. I had to write what GPT stands for because I couldn't remember that it's a generative pre-trained transformer, in case anyone wanted to know. But it's essentially your own personal AI assistant. And let me tell you something, that my little AI assistant has learned all of Articulate, Storyline, and Rise, and it knows inside out everything that I want if I'm designing an e-learning program. It is quite amazing. But having your personal one does ring fence it a little bit more so that it doesn't share any of the data or the copyrighted material that you've got. But boy, does it give some really good results. And there's somebody's talking about it as well. So anyone else would like to type into chat and let us know what sort of learning programs. It's for things that you repeat a lot, I should say, that it's not for things that you're just doing on a once-off basis, because you've got to train it quite a bit. We will send you, this is the Chat GPT paid version, by the way, and just the prompts on how it teaches you how to build your own GPT, your own custom GPT. So you don't need any coding, in fact, and it shows you exactly step by step what to do, because otherwise old fossil like me certainly would not have known. But this applies in Copilot as well. I haven't experimented on the other platforms. Some of you might have developed some custom ones, so please type into chat if you can. But again, it doesn't spit out the perfect version. It still needs the adjustment. It still needs, after you've had a sample, you're going to give it more instructions. You're going to refine, but it's going to do a lot of heavy lifting for you. So just a few final notes and a few final words here is that, first of all, if you've got beginners in your team, people who haven't used any of this before, they're saying it's about 10 hours to get your head around it and get going and sort of be aware of hallucinations. It doesn't hallucinate as much as it used to, but there is still a little bit of that where it's just giving you fake and false information. So for the beginners, always start with topics that you do know well. Where we're going, though, come on, you guys here that are experienced and are using this a lot, come on, I want to see some agentic AI from you. Those are agents that are going to do so much heavy lifting for you in terms of your workflows. They're going to automate your world. And there's the prediction on the screen from Capgemini, who's saying that, this 80% of companies are going to be using that fairly shortly. So an example of that, for example, could be, please scan the legislation every 3 months for me to ensure that all my compliance modules are 100% up to date. And this agent, and you'll tell the agent how you want the report, in what format. Incredible. I don't have time to go into that, but I just wanted to have a highlight for you that that's where it's moving. And certainly some pre-built agents, you know how we had on the phone the apps that are pre-built for us. Now they're going to be some pre-built agents. So please, for those of you who are experienced and ready to have a go with this or already have been trying, we'd love some feedback from you as you go into some of these stores that have ready-made templates. Quite a few nice ones and simple ones on make.com. I have no affiliation, by the way, with any of these sites at all. But there's a little bit of an insight into the future. Good old Sam Altman brings us home here, just reminding us that AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So, and it's not taking our job. It's just hopefully making us do things in a better way. And I'm on that side of the AI debate. So I'm hoping that for some of you, this is inspiration to try something you haven't tried before, something that you'd like to do. We're obviously here to help, to try things out differently. I see Ben in the chats putting up quite a lot of input as well, so please keep an eye on that. But we'd love to hear about your journey, your experimentation, what's working for you, where we can play a role, and really go out of our way to share ideas and create a real community of practice around that as well. So please look out for all other types of webinars that we're going to be holding, our in-person day as well. And I hope that this has given you food for thought, agrees and disagrees, but also some ideas to keep challenging yourself to do more and more. So please, I'll stay online. If anyone wants to ask any questions, very happy to help you with that, and obviously to see if there's any way in which we can further inspire you. Oh, okay. So somebody's going to go for Claude. I like that commitment. Woof, people are putting into chat some very good commitments here. Remember, once you verbalize them, they're out there. So that's good. If anyone wants us to run the session, in a slower way for internal, we're also having a way to do that. Then what? It won't open your style guide. Custom AIs. If somebody's asking there about custom AIs and the security, listen, I wouldn't go and put in people's date of birth and, something like that. I certainly wouldn't do that. But, just general things I would be. And it does say that it keeps it curated, but that would have to be in a paid version. And don't do it in a general version. I don't know the technology behind that, but I would certainly hope that chat has at least the ethics to, if they say that it is contained, that it does remain contained. But then many organizations don't trust that, and they've set their own parameters and bought their own versions of these platforms where they've uploaded the style guides and the various other compliance requirements that they want followed. Somebody said there about Perplexity. Fantastic. 12 months free access. Oh my gosh, grab it. Yes. Perplexity has been good. The only thing that I found personally with Perplexity is that it starts well and then it sort of gets lazy. So just be careful to keep prodding it and keep reminding it that's not good enough. I want more. Don't let it just sit back on its haunches and accept whatever it gives you. That's just what my personal experience has been. But we're all learning. No one can tell you that they're an expert at this because we are all learning. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I think that I've answered all the questions. Is there anything that I haven't answered? We will share the slide deck after the session, and you'll obviously be able to ask and answer, and we'll be able to see if we can